Oh, hello again, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for visiting once again. Let's take my little poster and put that away somewhere. This is from the M52 Aeroscale kit. If you buy a kit from them, they send you this rather splendid picture look, and it shows you RT134, which is alleged to be the production number of the only one that got, I think, approximately 80% built. I may very well add that number in because, excuse me, there are some decals to do precisely that. But we'll come to that a bit later on, because what I shall do is I shall replace these decals, the P and these roundels here, with painted roundels. And if I can find a set of lettering that has a name and I can't remember, in the comments you'll let me know and say, "Stupid Zinners, how did you not know that, you idiot," or something like that. Good for you. I shall find a suitable font. That's the word I was looking for, font, for this, and if I can, then I shall do that as painted as well. But anyway, we've made some progress. But before I continue, just a quick hello to everyone. If this is your first time visiting my little channel, you're very welcome. Thank you very much. Do feel free to subscribe. It doesn't actually cost anything, but it does help the channel grow, and I've just tipped over 2,000 people who think that my channel may be in some way worthwhile, and I'm very grateful to you all. You know, I won't be able to fill the Albert Hall with subscribers just yet a while. I think that's about 7,000 or so people, so I've got a little way to go yet. That's going to be several years, I shouldn't wonder, but at some stage I'll get there, I've no doubt. But thank you very much to all of those people who have subscribed, and welcome back to you all. Let's just adjust that. So we're back on the M52, the Miles experimental aircraft, which was the vehicle for the Power Jets W2400 engine with the number 4 augmenter being afterburner. As you can see, we've made a little progress, and it's a bit different from what we saw before, but I've now got the wings on, and actually putting the wings on was a really quite straightforward thing, because as you can see from these little lines here, these are panel lines. You can put this little jig in here like this, and when you do, this thing acts as a template for the wings and allows you to get them precisely even on both sides, which is fantastic. So slight dihedral there. The three components are the front section, the bell section here, the centre fuselage section, and the rear section here, which also incorporates, let's see if we can light this so that you can, oh there you go, you can see, and that incorporates the afterburning arrangements, the flame holders and so on and so forth, and the rear parts of the engine. You can make out the combustion chambers going around the outside of the combustion tube there. You might just be able to see that if I zoom in or zero in. Maybe let's just see if we can give this some more light. You can sort of not quite see. You can just about see them. Anything else further back, which is a cone in fact, you actually can't see. But there we are. So it's beginning to look like an M52, and obviously, as you'll know, we've completed the nose cone. So the nose cone was designed by Miles to detach in the case of a catastrophic failure of the aircraft itself, and had a parachute within it that would allow the pilot to drop down to earth in a sedate manner, and that just sits in there and then gives you this annular ring there, which was the air intake. So that's what that looks like there. And the aircraft itself was designed to travel at around about, or its design parameter was 1,000 miles an hour at 30,000 feet, and to basically take off and land under its own power, which is why it has wings that were tested on a Miles Falcon trainer. But the reason why the wings are quite short here are that in a transonic and supersonic, particularly supersonic aircraft, a shock cone develops here in front of the aircraft and comes back, and the shock cone would have been wider than the aircraft's wingspan, which meant that it would have operated inside of the shock cone, which would allow it to travel at supersonic speeds. Remember, this aircraft was developed at a time that it was felt by some that the speed of sound, a sound barrier as it was called, was very much that, a barrier. And you weren't getting past this one Chiefo at all. But there we are. So look, we've got to that point where I've glued the bell section together with the central section and the rear section. What I've also done here is filled these gaps. Now, if I come in a bit close on this, you can't really see it at arm's length. If we come in a little bit close, you may be able to just make out the filler here. And I've used this stuff, this black slow dry. It's really bloody good, actually. I can't speak more highly of it. I think originally my attention was drawn to this by the excellent Nigel at Nigel's Modelling Bench. And by the way, just a quick mention of him. He's undertaking another resin kit, which I couldn't remember the last time, and a very helpful subscriber chimed in with a message which I pinned to the last video. It's a bolt and pull Defiant, and he's doing a really terribly good job at that. So go and support him. In fact, actually, I would suggest that most of you know him more than me, shall we say, because his videos are packed with good tips, and that's why he has over 30,000 subscribers and I have just 2. So there we are. Anyway, be that as it may, we've got to the point where I've got the wings on, and all I've done with these is really just put them into the jig, painted onto the top side this this slow dry acrylic cyanoacrylate, left it there, then flipped it over because it's all dried, and then painted underneath. And this is now wicked into the joint and covered up all the marks, and I'll be able to then essentially sand this away with some gentle pressure. You can kind of see what happens there when you sand it away. And what this does is expose the lines that you see from the printing process. Now, a word about that: it's a good idea, if you can, to address this circular tube section, which would be the engine section, with a fairly light sander, 600 or 800 grit would probably be good, just around its circumference to remove those lines as far as possible. A coat of Mr. Surfacer 1000 will then essentially cover all them up, because it should then self-level, because you'll spray it through and use leveling, Mr. Colour leveling thinner. So it should cover them up and leave a nice smooth surface that you can achieve for the finish on. As you can see with these as well, the wings here I've smoothed off as well. I will need to just address these panel lines here with my little saw. So you've seen these before. These are pretty straightforward things to use, and I'll just go to this one here, and you find a suitable mark and then draw it along, trying not to move off the line, and away you go. But you don't need to use a lot of pressure, and you can bring out those lines. So we can do the same thing with this one here. This is quite light, this line, so I'll need to go over that several times, I suspect, and just make that good there. I'll just go in a little bit on this so that you can see what's going on. It kind of helps you to see this whilst I do this. And this saw has 2 sets of teeth. That's the thinner one, the finer one. I'm using the coarser one, and I'm just using essentially the end blade. I don't know if you'll hear that clicking, but I know that it's on the groove, then I can draw the saw blade across it, and it just draws a little bit of material out, and you can see that swarf, which is the waste material, drawing away there. You can see that there, like that. There we go, and we can just push that away. What I'll then do is just move across like that and just do it that side. So I'm slightly widening and deepening the groove there, the panel line, so that under some paint it has some effect, and then I can put a panel line accent on it when I want to, after the final high-speed silver paint will be used, because that's what I use. I use a high-speed silver paint here, and there we are. So that line is now more visible. We can do the same. Tell you what we'll do is we'll take that off and just put that aside there, and we can do the same on this side. Oh, be careful with it. When you make the first cut, it's as well to be very gentle, and as you go further into the groove, then you can be a little bit more firm with it. Honestly, I shouldn't say into the groove, should I? I'm sounding like a 60s hippie, aren't I? That's not really good. So there we go, and we'll just keep going there until we've taken a little more material. Now you can use a scribing tool as well. I'll show you one of those in a minute. Got some swarf caught on the blade there. But I find this little saw blade, these CMK saw blades, to be very good. They're extremely hard wearing actually, and I imagine that I will probably expire before this does, if I'm absolutely honest with you. So there we go, let's go a little bit further, and there we are. So we've just created those panel lines again, and I can go across the rest of these in a minute, but what I'll do is I'll sand down these, and the next real task will be to put in the vertical stabilizer here, which I am going to attempt. Where's my special blue tack? So I'm going to get some blue tack off my little whatnot here, a little bundle of blue tack, and I'm going to attempt to glue this in in the correct orientation, and also, of course, as you can see, the right way round. That, of course, would be the wrong way round. This, of course, is the right way round. There we are, look. What I should add I have done here is I have smoothed off the wings here to get rid of the build lines of the resin, because it's a bit like a sausage machine coming out, as you can see. So what we'll have is hopefully a very smooth surface, and I'm going to try and get this at the vertical as much as I possibly can. I'm going to do it by eye and hope that I get it right. Now the drill here would be to do this one side with essentially painting the black slow dry onto it, let it dry, and when it's firm then you can paint the other side as well. So that would be my plan here. So let's see if we can. That's not quite vertical. I think that's nearly vertical there. Trouble is, of course, getting the vertical nature of this is extremely difficult, because you need to set up a tangent on this, and that's hard to do at the best of times. And I can't think of anything else to do but do it by eye in this fashion. So I now have to be exceedingly careful with this in order to make certain that I don't make a mess of of my careful setting up. So as you can see, you can put the aircraft onto the jig. I'll give that a quick shake anyway. I'm going to check it again just to make sure I've got it absolutely perfect, and I think it's as good as it's going to be, if I'm absolutely truthful with you. So I'll drop that in there and gently put it down onto the workbench, and then move it backwards just a tad, and then it's steady. Now on this sprue here there are another couple of supports that you can use and take off and then put underneath the back and front if you want to. I'm not going to do that. So what we'll now do is we'll get my special brush that I've got, and a pot, and put everything else out of the way, and we'll just anoint this gently with some of our black glue. It's, as I say, it's a slow drying thing. I'm greatly taken with this. I think this is a very, very good thing to use for things of this kind. So I'm going to take some of this onto the brush and then very gently anoint this in this way. So what's going to happen, as has happened with the wings, is that capillary action will take this glue into the joint and secure the piece, which is the vertical tail fin, to the bodywork. But at the same time, it would do us the enormous favour of filling up that joint as well. So it's a sort of two-in-one really, and then we can sand it off later. It does look a bit untidy to begin with, but after we've done all of our work on it very carefully, because this stuff's brittle, then we should be there. Now, the thing to clean this with is debonder, which is this stuff. It's acetone essentially, so you can just use acetone, you know, instead. So I just drop a lot of that onto there, and as you can see, what it does actually, debonder, is reactivate the glue, but it does allow you to clean brushes, so it's quite useful like that. And if you get any of this black stuff on your skin, it's actually quite difficult to take off, and this is helpful for doing that as well. So we'll just give this a bit of a clean off, and there we go. Leave that as it is. Shut our bottle of debonder up, and just finally wipe that away. That's that done. Now I'm going to lift this up quickly, put the tools away a minute, and just have a look at this to make certain that we've got this right. Just a bit of dead air for you at the moment. I'm looking at this way, and that looks about right, to be honest with you. I'm not therefore going to touch it anymore, and I'm just going to have to manage with it as it is. It looks about right to me. So what we can now do is leave that for a few hours to dry, and one of the reasons why I've done it this way is because actually assembling these things in this way, it's not particularly conducive to making videos, because the glue doesn't act quickly like polystyrene cement does, which means that you can only do a few operations, or maybe one or two operations at a time, and this means that there's a lot of gaps, and as you know, I don't edit my videos, so I have to pad them out with a load of extraneous nonsense of the type that I've talked today. But anyway, some 19 minutes or so into my video, we've now arrived at the end of another one, and as you can see, we'll shortly be at the point where the M52 will be coated with paint and so on and so forth, and it will be complete. I think it's going to look quite impressive when it's done, to be honest with you. I've always wanted a model of one of these, and 3D printing has allowed me to be able to acquire one, and I'm quite pleased about that. So there we are. Anyway, look, thank you very much everybody for calling in and visiting and having a quick look at this. It's of limited interest, I know, to some people. Hopefully it'll be of more interest to people now than it was. I'm very hopeful to see you again the next time, and keep on modelling, enjoy your polystyrene. I will be back to the polystyrene before long with any one of a number of choices potentially, which may include the tiger moth, so we'll see about that. Anyway, leave a note in the comments if you want to know, if you want to express a preference, and I will pay attention to it. Anyway, many thanks everyone, take care for now, and speak to you on the next one. Take care, bye bye.